The Rockford community is stunned as a calm Wednesday afternoon on the city's southeast side turns tragic. Police say a man attacked several residents in the area. Police confirm 4 people are dead and 5 others hurt in the attack. We also know that 4 people involved went to OSF St. Anthony Medical Center. One of the victims is a mail carrier for the U.S. Post Office. Around 1:15 this afternoon, first responders were called to the 2300 block of Home Street for a medical call. Officials say after that, additional units, including the police department, were called to the scene. Rockford Police Chief Carla Redd says this incident is multi-jurisdictional, with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department and federal officials joining the investigation. So far, we know 1 person is in police custody at this time and being interviewed by detectives. Investigators don't believe there are any other suspects at this time. This attack comes just days after an 18-year-old man was killed in a stabbing incident at an area Walmart Sunday. Rockford Mayor Tom McNamara says, like true Rockfordians, organizations and community members are coming forward to support one another.
I think, like most Rockfordians, just totally shaken by this act of violence and the impact that it's having now on multiple families' lives. So certainly my prayers are with them as they're just beginning to deal with what will be really difficult days and weeks ahead.
We'd like to also say, please avoid this area at this time. Police are investigating. They don't want any extra people in the area. If you or anyone you know is in need of emotional support or counseling services as a result of this tragic event, the City of Rockford has partnered with Rosecrans and RPS 205 to offer those services at Flynn Middle School tomorrow, free of charge, starting at 9 a.m.